How are you doing? Have you got snow yet in Leadville? And how is the fall treating you?
I'm doing really great. I'm enjoying off season. We do have snow already in Leadville, so it's been cool to already pivot to some different activities and still running some. Like my off season isn't usually totally off, but just kind of doing it as it feels good and more casually, and then leaving plenty of time for just the random other types of adventures. So like biking or yeah, getting out on the snow. I've even been dabbling with some yoga this off season, which is pretty hilarious because I'm very bad at it, but it feels good to just like move in a different way sometimes.
I have incorporated some yoga as well, so it's been
How's it going for
interesting.
you?
It's like I think it's fun when you're a beginner in something because you improve pretty quickly and you learn. So yeah, it's been fun. I usually try
Yeah,
to do like twice a week.
I
So
agree 100%. Being a beginner is so cool. Like the last couple of summers, I have been trying to learn how to mountain bike a little bit, and I'm pretty bad at it. And I mountain bike slower
so
than
am
I
I.
would run the trails,
Yeah.
but it's so fun to just be out learning and playing and figuring it out along the way. I love being a beginner. So I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like once you become really good at something, like obviously running for you or for me, then like it feels different. Like it's you don't learn as much, of course. And also like I think people always expect you to be good at everything, like every sport, but it's like totally okay to be a beginner and to suck at activities that are not like running or like mountain biking or yoga or whatever. So it's kind of fun, and like I don't want to pretend that I'm expert in the activities that are not like my main one.
Yeah, it's the best. And I hope through life I keep finding those new things to just try and be really bad at, but find the fun in learning a new thing and being bad at it. It's like, yeah, why not
It's all
try
good.
these things? Yeah.
Yeah. What does your winter training look like as someone who admittedly doesn't have a coach and a training plan? Like, to what extent is like what you do in general is a product of your instinct and curiosity, and to what extent is planned and maybe guided by like some technical decisions or like sponsor requirements or other reasons you might do one thing or another?
As far as like a race schedule or just my training.
I guess both. Yeah.
My race schedule is completely determined by my husband and I, and just following what's tugging at our curiosity the most for the season. So we'll usually spend this time of year, November and December, kind of reflecting on the year that happened and then thinking forward to, okay, so what are we really fired up to try next year? What are some types of races or places or distances that we want to go after? And that will shape our race season decisions. And I'm very fortunate that the sponsors I work with are 1,000% supportive of whatever wild ideas we come up with. So that feels very cool because I think in the distances I'm doing, these 100 miles or farther even, you have to really want it yourself in order to push for 24 hours or 36 hours or whatever the race takes. And so having it be totally self-motivated and self-decided, and like I chose this as the thing I want to go after, is important in those bigger, longer events, I think. And then for training, I've just been trying to figure it out over the years. I don't have a coach. I don't have a plan. every day I wake up and do a body and mind assessment and then decide how hard to push the gas pedal that day. And that's been a decade of doing it this way and trying to hone in the strategy for that and like the intuition. So figuring out how to read the signals that my body and brain give me every day helps me keep on like fine tuning the process. But through the winter, it depends, I guess, on when my first race will be next year, on what the training ends up looking like. But I do embrace winter for sure. Here in Leadville, we get full on winter. So it's like pivoting to more cross-country skiing or even just some like downhill skiing or uphill skiing for fun. And then around here, it's a lot of road running in the winter because the trails are just a little less accessible.
Yeah, yeah. Super interesting. I guess, I mean, you've been asked this question before, but I don't know the answer. So why did you choose Leadville as a place to live, opposed to like somewhere else that you can easily access the trail like all year round, or yeah, for maybe and like more months in a year?
Yeah, we used to live down near Denver. So we were already in Colorado, and we ended up always coming up to this area on the weekends to play. The playground around here is huge and yeah, pretty endless in the options that you have. And as we kept coming up here, we just fell in love with that playground, but also, and probably even more so, we fell in love with the pace of life in the mountains. Everything's just really chill. Everyone waves, like full arm waves at each other. It's a really small town feel. And we loved that like slower vibe that it has up here. So we fell in love with the town and the atmosphere of it. And then it, yeah, just happens to have this like endless opportunity for play out in the mountains.
That's awesome. And how have you developed this great sensibility, uh, and like you described that you've learned to like really pay attention to the signs that your body is giving you, and each day you do like a full body access to understand to what extent you can push in training, um so much that you don't need like a training plan. You maybe don't really monitor your training load, you don't track hours or kilometers or miles, elevation, all of that. That is like usually the way people train or like go to, especially when they are at a high level, of course.
Phew. I mean, it's really been just years of doing it and then making mistakes along the way and learning from those mistakes. So, our bodies and our brains give us all sorts of information, all sorts of signals all the time, but reading them and actually listening to them, paying attention to those signals, and then acting upon the signals is the tricky part. And that has been just doing, learning by doing, and seeing if I can do it better every single time based on the experience that I have from, the days and the weeks and the years before. But when I first started ultra running, I was really intrigued and excited by the puzzle of it and all of the pieces that are involved. And one of those pieces definitely being the training. And I loved playing around with it and figuring it out on my own. So that was kind of the driver initially to not get a coach, was like, well, this is really cool to just like see what happens if I do this, or I don't do that. And I still am enjoying that puzzle process.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the main reasons that I'm kind of operating this way, is like it's a fun game for me, and it yeah, it just keeps me like playing around with how I could do it or what I could change to do it better.
Yeah. So it's a constant learning process. And I think a lot of times we put ourselves too many constraints. Like we think that things need to be done in a certain way. And we like try to stick to a plan or to adhere to a certain philosophy and or process or whatever without really paying attention to like who we are and what we need, like approaching something without expectations, but just like really embracing the process and doing whatever is best for us. I think like choosing like deliberately choosing that is not easy sometimes. Um
Yeah, and like keeping an open mind to like whatever
yeah.
the result might be
Yeah,
from
also
it.
like allowing yourself to fail, like to make
Hmm.
mistakes. A lot of times we don't want to make mistakes and we think like all the best people don't make mistakes or like this person is doing whatever he's doing because he never failed. But it's just not true. You know, everyone fails and
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
fail maybe as much as others, but I'm sure you have in your life, in your experience.
Oh, plenty of failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I think reframing that is key. Is can be really powerful.
Yeah.
So last night I was watching your movie produced by Salomon at Team Sport on your incredible 2023. I was with my girlfriend, and I think you summarized it very well at the end of the film when you said a crazy summer for sure. So now that it's been some time, what is the feeling and what are the main memories that truly remain with you from that summer?
The main feeling about that summer is definitely a lot of gratitude for the opportunity to try something like that, for the people who helped me try those races and get to those start lines in a healthy place and in a happy place, for my body for holding up through the whole summer. And yeah, I think just for the sport in general, like I constantly feel so lucky to have found myself in this sport and being part of it and getting to experience it in the ways that I've gotten to experience it. Yeah, I, I'm like overwhelmed with gratitude for that summer and mostly just for the experience that it created. Like the moments that I remember the most from all of those races and from that summer are the moments with my crew, are the moments with other racers in certain races, are the moments of like, you know, the bear hugs at start lines or yeah, it's like doing all of these things for me is less about the races and more about the opportunity to create memories with people that I love, because those memories are the key to it all. Like those moments shared are the whole point of everything to me.
Yeah. Yeah, in the movie, you also say that winning is not on the list of importance. Connecting with people, making shared memory, that's what it's all about. And I think this is the essence of the clip. So how does winning become a byproduct of this approach then?
I'm when I am doing these things, I want to do them to the very best of my ability. I want to like squeeze as much life and living and joy out of every moment that I can. And so if I'm running 100 miles or whatever it is, then I want to make sure I squeeze everything out of that I can. So if I'm lining up for these races, I want to give it my very best and see what's possible, because that's definitely a driver for me in this sport as well, is like if our bodies and our brains are synced up and we really like squeeze them and see what's possible, what can we do? And that curiosity is why I keep signing up for these things, or why that like double, which then turned into a triple, was
Yeah.
so interesting for me.
Yeah. You seem to have a great confidence in your own means and your possibilities. And as someone who has often struggled with self-confidence, I would like to know a little more about it. How do you develop self-confidence, and where do you really draw your confidence from? And maybe have you ever struggled with it or with your motivation?
I don't um I don't even know if like it's self-confidence. I think it's uh just wanting to try and not caring what the result is. Like
Yeah.
I just want to see what happens if. And if I go all in on trying this thing and whatever is the result, like I'm fine with that. And so I don't know that the word in my brain is confidence. I think it's just like uh,
The
a
way you
desire
are.
to go all in and
Yeah.
just see. And if that means I'm flat on my back and it would be a failure in some eyes, that's fine with me because I went all in and I saw.
Yeah. We put too much, I mean, maybe I or we in general, we put too much emphasis on the result, and we end up losing the truly meaningful part that is trying. I remember um, I was watching you at the finish line of UTMB in 2023, and I was very inspired by your words on the finish line. The speaker gave you the microphone, and you said every time we were given the opportunity to try something really hard, we should absolutely take that opportunity. And I think this is you,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about like the result of a thing is like the tiniest blip
Hmm.
in the whole picture, but like the actual trying is the majority of what we're all doing in everything. And so if we can learn that that part is actually the coolest part of it all, and the result is like, well, whatever, like the results of that summer would have been irrelevant to me, even if I mean, just doing the
Yeah,
summer, trying it was the coolest part of it all, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I think a lot of people also wonder, like after 2023, especially. So the original plan was Western State and then Hard Rock, and then you added UTMB. And basically, in just one summer, you accomplished what many people, like the vast majority of people, cannot do in a lifetime. So after what you have achieved, what does still motivate you to get out of the door and train hard and try things you've never done before?
I'm still curious what's possible. It's uh yeah, the driver every day.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the process of training, the process in general, even though no one really know what the process is. But I think your process in the movie is well summarized by when you say, I hope I can never say that I have the perfect race, but I was really lucky to have a fantastic crew meet me out in California and this great energy pushing us towards the finish line, referring to Western State. And for me, it was really inspiring to hear, and I thought a lot about it because I think the truth is that there is no finish line. I think a lot of people think that, like, oh, if I could just get to this level, achieve this result, or win this or that race, then my life will be complete. And then sometimes you actually do the thing and you realize that not much has really changed. Like you're the same as
Yeah.
before. You just have new standards and you discover new things that you want to learn and you want to try and become good at. So how is it been for you since, I mean, you probably have the highest standards of us all.
How's it been
Yeah, what
for
is,
which part?
yeah, like how do you define your process, I guess? Do you find yourself in what I just tried to explain?
I'm My hope is definitely that through my entire career, I'll never have a perfect race, because I think calling something perfect means you've accepted that like that's as good as it can get, and there's no room for improvement. There's nothing to learn from it. There's no way to like bounce off of that and figure out more. And so my hope is to always be able to look at the big picture and the small pictures, and reflect and find ways to do it better or learn from it, or yeah, I guess like take all of those lessons and put them in a file that I actually use, instead of like just accepting that that was it, done and dusted,
Yeah.
like let's
Yeah.
call it good. But it's all like curiosity driven and definitely joy driven. Like I think this is such a fun game to keep playing and to figure out. And so like as long as it's filled with joy and curiosity and like self motivated, then I want to keep on exploring that avenue.
Yeah. Another theme of the movie was is the pain cave. Um, the pain cave is the place you go to in your mind when physically you feel like you can't keep pushing forward. What have you discovered about the pain cave and what it is like in your own experience?
I have discovered a lot about the pain cave over my years visiting there. Um, I think one of the most important things I've discovered is that um, our attitudes and mindsets and the things we tell ourselves in those difficult moments is really, really, really important. And learning to embrace the pain cave and make the pain cave a place that I wanted to go to instead of a place that was based on fear was a really key like mind switch for me, that probably happened like, I don't know, maybe 5-ish years ago. I used to, try to put off the pain cave as
Yep.
long as possible, not arrive there. And if I did, I hope to survive it. And then switching that mindset to be one of like productivity was really big for me. And just like the attitude I have around those tough moments now is completely different, because in my head, the story now is that I want to get there and I
Yeah.
want to be there. And
Yeah.
that was a pretty cool discovery, or like just like realization of our attitudes and mindsets and the importance of it. Um, and then I guess the other piece that is continuing to baffle me is that the pain cave keeps having more room to go in. Like there's
It's deeper
still,
and
yeah,
deeper.
there's still more space to chisel. And I'm so intrigued by what happens when I continue to go back there. Like, what is there an end to it? I don't know. Like, what happens eventually? And that has me continuing to want to do that and to see for myself.
Yeah, so inspiring. Um, yeah, because I think like in general, like pain, we've been taught that it's something to avoid. We see it as something negative and to absolutely try to put away. On the contrary, we should deliberately choose to visit that pain cave like it's an opportunity again. Um, how do you how do you think you practice that in your own training and daily life? Because I'm sure it's not like just gritting your teeth and be willing to suffer, being tough. It's actually more like the opposite.
I I don't go to the pain cave very often in training or daily life. I'm not visiting there. So mostly I'm reserving it as this very special chance during races. And that gives it like an extra allure as well, because I know what a unique opportunity it is to visit it and to get that chance to visit it. Like we don't get to just snap our fingers and arrive at its entrance whenever we want. We have to be doing something pretty cool and working pretty hard to arrive at that entrance. And so reserving those visits for race days, which now is like, maybe 5 or 6 times a year, makes it even more special and makes it easier to then go all in on that chiseling, because the days that I get to do work in there are so few and far between. And I think visiting it too often, you might lose the joy that it brings as well.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it feels like the pain cave when I'm like sitting in traffic or something.
Yeah.
But
So visit it, but not too
yeah,
often.
yeah.
That's the takeaway. Cool. Near by the end of the clip, um, there is a quote that refers to women, and you say that your hope is that this summer, 2023 summer, is just a step ladder for the next move of women to come along and elevate all our games. And I hope I can be one rung in the ladder. Um, how do you want to be a role model for women and especially young women? And according to you, where do you see the biggest barriers for women to get involved in the sport and also like really pursue opportunities and maybe also make a living in the sport of ultra running?
Yeah, I mean, we all build off of the generations that come before us in everything that we do. And so, um, knowing that, I'm building off of the women who were ultra running way, way before I even knew it was a thing or was even around is important to keep in perspective, and then to hope for being one of those like shoulders or like steps along the way for the future generations. And like my hope is that women come along and just shatter everything that anyone in the sport has done up until now, with like learning from the generations before. Like if I can explore the pain cave and figure out a little bit more about our physical and mental abilities, then maybe the next women to come along can springboard off of that a little bit sooner and a little bit higher and a little bit faster. Yeah, I think we should all hope for that in everything that we do. Like what we do becomes insignificant in a
Yeah.
few generations because everyone blew it out, That would be so cool. And the sport, for sure, like I feel really lucky to be part of it right now. Women are definitely coming in bigger numbers and also throwing out more preconceived like limits and taking more risks to see what's possible, which I feel fortunate to be in the sport when that sort of shift is happening a little bit more. And I think like the momentum and the tide will just keep on pushing that way. So hopefully we continue to see more and more women giving it a shot and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, hopefully. Do you think that equal pay is still an issue at an elite level in professional contracts?
I have no idea. I am, if I were to guess, I would say probably yes.
And what are some of the athletes that inspire you, where you've drawn inspiration from? Can be in trail running or maybe any other sport.
I think the coolest part of this sport is that everyone does the same course and experiences the same highs and lows, whether you finish in, 12 hours or 20 hours or 30 hours. It's like you're bonded by doing the same hard thing at the same time and on the same course. And the inspiration for sure comes from everyone across the board. Like, it's just so cool to see everyone finding their own way to keep moving forward and taking another step to reach a finish line.
On relatability, um, I think you're super relatable in a sense that, of course, like very few people can experience with what you go through when you cross the finish line of Western State, Hard Rock, or UTMB, and you win those races. But a lot of people can relate with the like other experiences, the pain cave, the struggle, the unsexy things that always happen during a race, the memories, the bonds that are made on trails. What is a message that you want to leave people with?
Uh, to go for it, whatever the thing is, to go for it full on and just see that we're capable of way more than we think, and that working really hard and trying really hard at something can be fun. Like, those things can be linked, and you don't have to um, associate difficult things with like struggle or like hating it or, pushing it away. It's like, if we embrace it and enjoy those moments, it's all part of the story.
That's awesome. And as someone who's been very successful and has done obviously things that no one has ever done before, I'm sure you like have been exposed to the thought that like a lot of people assume that you're just different than anyone else, and then this is what like sets you apart. This is why you're so good at what you do. And I think, yeah, for sure there is some level of talent, but at the same time, it's like your curiosity that you describe, the training that you put in, the countless hours that you spend on trails, and the desire to push your limits and like discover that we're capable of more than we think we are. And I think a lot of times people forget we're like all humans and we wake up and we have like very similar problems and thoughts as anyone else. Like, we just try to get through the day in the best way we can. How much do you think it's a matter of talent and then like training, hard work, process, whatever you define everything else in your case?
I mean, there's no like gauges in my body that we could look at to know for sure what percentages of anything it is. But I think a lot of it for me is just curiosity and joy. Like, I love doing this. I love doing the training. I would be doing it whether I was pinning bibs on or not. And I'm pinning bibs on because I'm curious what happens if, and I want to keep on exploring that piece of it. So I know for me, those are huge parts of it. I also know that part of it has to be upbringing and the coaches and teammates I had along the way that shaped my mindset and understanding of running and training. So, like, growing up in an active family and having the parents and brothers that I do, but also the cross country and track teams that I was on through middle school and high school were pivotal in creating like a really positive association with running for me. And I know that's not always the case for people.
Mhm.
Their experiences maybe jade them a little differently as they think of running. So I feel thankful for that for sure, in that those coaches and teammates I had through those early years helped me understand a little bit about training and like how you work towards a goal or peak at a race, but also that you can be belly laughing while working really hard, like those things can go together, and you can have teammates and the support system around you to make that enhanced and even better. And yeah, just like the full on belief and support from coaches or the people in your life. So I know that that was part of it as well. And just like having that positive association right from the jump, right from learning that I loved running, made it even better for me.
Yeah. Hopefully we can cultivate a better environment, because for sure, some people don't have a very good relationship with running, and like are surrounded by people that are not like really supportive. And I think many times people feel like they have to just justify their passion or the energy and time they put in with a result, but you don't have to justify the fact that you're passionate about running with any kind of result. Like you can do it for whatever reason, and it doesn't matter. So I think is important to acknowledge that and encourage people in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate always your thoughts and like how thoughtful and mindful you are of those bigger picture topics.
Yeah, you too. You're so positive, and so it's a lot to learn from you.
Likewise.
Okay, I think we have plenty of stuff to write about.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
it was
thanks
good
for
to
your
see
time.
you.
Good to see you too.
Hope to see you on some trails next year.
Yeah. Hopefully something in the US in the spring. I still need to plan my calendar, but maybe we'll see each other somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, enjoy your off season.
Thank you. Likewise.
See you.
See you. Have a good day.